Hey there, design friends, what's up and welcome to our June top 5 websites of the month. I've got some really cool websites to show you that are going to inspire you and open your mind to what's possible in web design today. Let's jump right into it. So the first website that I want to show you is this one. It's called Bienville Capital. It's basically an investment firm. Starts off with kind of an inspirational video, pretty solid. And then when you start scrolling, the whole navigation here, basically the whole experience is scrolling horizontally. And what I feel is that it's basically going through a presentation, a slideshow, PowerPoint presentation that is very common in the investment world. So basically, I feel like they're showing me a presentation, although there are really kind of like nice transitions between them, and some of them actually looks like the titles of a movie, right? With how the type comes and grows, but basically they are telling me a story. Each slide, each experience, each section basically has one big title to it, and you're basically going through a story. And I feel like this is a really, really great storytelling experience. There's nothing really technically complicated in how they do this. Horizontal scroll, pretty solid. They have these kind of like loading animation that are triggering alongside your scroll. So that's pretty not very difficult to do, but very, very well art directed. And in terms of storytelling, again, they're taking you slide by slide, explaining to you how they are doing their investment. And I think it's a really great, basically, again, presentation. It's like if you were going to their office and you'd have a meeting with them. I think that's how they would present their ideas. So I think it's pretty cool. I also really like their semi-glass transparent navigation that kind of opens up on top of everything else. So yeah, I think this is a really, really great idea. How do you take a presentation, translate it into a great web experience? And I loved this website. Second website that I want to show you is a portfolio of a Japanese designer called Kazuki Noda. First of all, they're telling me they want to play music here. So I personally hate when websites play music, but at least Kazuki here is asking me if it's okay, asking permission. I'm going to tell him, no, do not show. Now, this is a really, really beautiful portfolio, and I think it's very, very Japanese in the sense of how it's structured, a very non-traditional grid, and also it starts off with these kind of like little sentence coming up and disappearing. I combine traditional, facing up to challenges, I don't accept limitation. Those are kind of like his deep beliefs, and I like this because they show personality. I pursue the best design without compromise. They kind of outline how he's different from other designers off the top, right? There's the normal, hi, I'm a visual designer, art director, the normal one, but I like how he created also with this nice kind of like emotion and this sketchy, noisy background, gives it kind of an old school background. Now, when you get to the work, again, as I said, non-traditional grid in how everything is structured here. Very, very organized, yet it kind of breaks how we usually see portfolios and kind of like normal columns grid or full grid. I also like this kind of like transition where it's fogging into what's going on. So let's go into one of the projects. Very nice transitions. And again, very, very organized in this grid, but also non-traditional way to present your work. Well art directed. Yeah, I think there's something very, very Japanese about this website. You can also change, by the way, the color palette of this whole website, which is pretty cool. Also has note these little, let me put this in black so you can actually see it, but these the mouse hovering, those little interactions are pretty cool following your mouse. So really liked this website. Before we move on to the next website, by the way, if you want to learn more about web design, make sure you're following our channel. We got tons of web design content coming out, so make sure you like and subscribe. The next website is from the Wall Street Journal. It's basically kind of an interactive 3D storytelling experience, and I really like this. I'm going to start one of the experiences here. This one includes sound, so I'm going to mute it just so it doesn't disturb us. But basically, it's like, let me play this for a second. I don't know if you can hear it. but they're actually telling you a story and you can explore it. And I think this is really interesting because we've been used to reading articles again and again, and this is kind of like how the new way of telling stories in journalism, I think that's how it's going to look like. So it's not only video and it's not only reading articles, it's these kind of like 3D immersive and interactive experience. Now this one specifically is about I think the effects of COVID-19 on transportation and the consumption of oil and everything. So they're telling you a story here about, how less oil was consumed and what that meant for the world. We're not going to watch the whole thing because it's actually pretty long, but I do recommend you to go check it out and see how this is really immersive. You can play around with the 3D here as you listen to the story, and I really think this is an interesting way to convey content. Again, this is not just a normal business website. This is more like an editorial kind of content, but I do think it's really, really interesting way to tell a story. The next one is for this wiser service, better way to borrow. So here, it's actually not something that we haven't seen before. You've got this 3D ball that basically walks along with you as you scroll down and explore the story, and is basically metaphorically, telling you what's going on here and kind of taking you on a journey as you scroll down here. Now, this is not something completely new. Actually, I think there is a very clear reference here. The first website that actually did this was for a company called Wealthfront, which is also in money management. So I wouldn't say they've completely ripped them off, but I think they took this idea and they've combined it with, I don't know if you're following on Instagram, there's all these accounts of looping 3D. There's tons of these accounts where very, very, I think maybe there is even a name for this style of looping 3D animations, but I do think they took reference from there and the idea from Wealthfront, combined them into creating something new. What I really like here is the shapes, the color combination. I think the palette is very, very solid, and it's just fun to scroll. Text is very, very minimal, so it's very fun to explore this, and and a pretty good experience. The last website that I want to show you is actually pretty funny. It's called Vacation, and it's actually for a sunscreen brand. But what's funny here is that they've had a very clear art direction for the brand here. They were like, this is 80s, so make this website 80s. Now, how do you make a website using all of the modern web technologies that we have today, where you don't really want to make it 80s, right? You want a great website using all of the new technologies, but you want the vibe to be 80s. And I think they did this really phenomenally here with the decisions, such as the images. The images has these kind of like border, which is very, very old school. You won't see square photos with colorful strokes. The font is actually, I think, kind of modern, but all of these different imagery, all of the hard drop shadow, you would actually think, oh my God, I think this is ugly. But I think they've done this so much on purpose that I think it's actually fantastic art direction on this website. There's a lot of things here that on any other mistake, I would say, it looks like a mistake. This shadow looks like a mistake. This pack shot here looks like a mistake. But they've done all of these mistakes together with intention, so it's obviously not a mistake, and I actually think it's brilliant. Even this kind of like something that looks like a coupon from the 80s, I think is really, really brilliant. So I think what you can take away from this one is how important art direction is, and having a very clear reference of what feeling you try to convey with the website. Here they have a very, very clear reference to the 80s visual aesthetics. They combined it and they brought it together with modern interaction and web techniques. So I think this is a really, really great example. Let me know which one of the website you like the most, and if you want to explore how they were created or have us do kind of like tutorials on specific effects, let us know and we'll do this, and I will see you on the next video. Peace out.